Hey everyone, welcome back to Oops All Ghosts, the show where we dive into real experiences with the unexplained and try to make sense of the world between worlds. I'm your host, Rob, and every episode we sit down with people who actually lived the paranormal. Today's guest is someone who's been seeing spirits his whole life. Daniel Jackson is a psychic medium who says his connection to the spirit world started when he was just 3 years old. And over the years, it's only gotten stronger. From haunted houses and paranormal groups that couldn't handle what they found, to encounters with what he calls the Hat Man, and the darker energies beyond the world, Daniel's story is one of the wildest you'll ever hear. So grab your headphones, settle in, and let's hear what happens when the line between the living and the dead blurs on Oops All Ghosts.
Hello, how are you?
Good, yourself?
Not too shabby.
Oh man, I'm so excited to have you today.
Are you
How's your
sure
day been?
about that? I see a lot of shit nobody wants to see. That's for sure.
Well, that's the stuff I like to hear about.
Okay,
Especially, especially my favorite part is I'm usually out of it, so I love hearing the stories about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so welcome. This is my podcast, Oops All Ghosts. I don't know if you checked it out or whatever.
I always like to stay back from it until after I do what I do. That way, because like even with myself, I don't follow other mediums or anything like that because I don't want what they do to influence what I do.
I like that. Come in just fresh
Yep.
and open. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. So it's just basically going through your life experience in the paranormal aspects that you've been dealing with. And it sounds like it's been all your life.
Entire life, ever since I was 3 years old, I've seen spirit. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
it has bloomed, to even, to a, like, I would say, like, a worse degree. It helps me, but it's a worse degree ever since I was right before turning 50.
Turning
That's when
50.
that's when it got really I had a paranormal group come to the house, and they got so freaked out, they actually broke up, yeah.
So the group itself broke up or they were
Yeah,
all done.
they left my house and then they were supposed to come back 2 weeks later to do, like, a big reveal, and by the I couldn't get a hold of them for 6 weeks, and then, the leader of the group said that once they got on my front lawn, they quit. They said as much information as they got from my house, it usually takes, like, 10 or 15 homes to get that kind of information.
Wow.
It's
So
crazy.
no kidding,
Mm.
especially to hit that like drastic happening.
Yeah, yeah. It's like when they were having me do different like go around the house and see where they said they wanted to know. So where do we have all the most of this stuff going on? And I said, "Pff, pick a spot. I mean, let's go. You know, what do you want to do?" And one time the video guy he said let's go into the closet, and I was like, okay. He said I feel drawn to that, so we walked in. We weren't even in there 30 seconds, and he was getting sick to his stomach. And, so he ran out, and then I said, "Sit on the bed. It's alright, it's alright." And then he was calm. He's like, "Oh, okay." He said, "I feel better." I said, "Can we go back in?" I said, "Sure." Then we go back in. He wasn't even there a few seconds. He started getting sick again. He ran back out and sat on the bed, and then, he looked at me and he said, "How come you're not getting sick?" I said, "I don't know. You're the expert. You tell me." So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, freaked me
So
out.
with it starting 50, like you want to go back and where you notice things amped up?
Sure, sure, sure. I mean, I have stories from the very beginning when I was a kid because my whole family was experiencing, um, because we lived in a town in New Jersey, right on the Delaware River, and there was a battlefield there. So we were all experiencing things. This is where the Hessians fought. So yeah, we were all experiencing things. But I was seeing more throughout the rest of my life after we moved out of that house, and it just continued. And then but it really got crazy right before I was turning 50. That's when it was, um, more or less like I describe it. It's like seeing like everything you've ever seen in a horror movie happening in my house. So yeah,
Well,
it's kind of bad. It's still bad.
yeah,
It's even worse now, but I
yeah.
understand it. I'm in control of it.
Oh, that's good that you feel strong and in control about it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, starting when you were young, like when did you notice like this isn't a normal occasion? Like this is
Um, like when I was young, like when my sister was getting ready for school one morning, we were all getting ready for school, and my mom was helping my sister in the bathroom, and she was in front of a full length mirror doing my sister's hair. When they looked in the mirror, there was a woman standing there in a colonial outfit. It wasn't my sister, but then there was one time that both my brothers and I were downstairs watching TV, and this is back in the 1970s. So what was taking place was, um, my brothers and I were just watching TV, and then my sister's record player turned on upstairs, 2 flights up, and but this is back in the day when your record player, you had that little post, and then you put the record on it, and then you hit the button, and then and that was it. But the thing was, it was switching records, so it would take a record off and then put another one on.
I'm so sorry to stop you, Daniel. My headphones just died on me. I'm gonna grab
Okay,
another set here, and
sure.
then we can get rock and roll. All right, just one sec here. It's always so embarrassing when it happens, but isn't this part of life?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I got all kinds of crazy shit that happens with me. I mean, because my energy is so strong. My wife and I both have the same phone, but my phone does all kinds of wacky shit. Doesn't.
it does a bunch of wacky shit.
Yeah, like the programs will change inside my phone without me doing anything, and then we have to reconfigure everything all the time.
Eh, that'd be like setting wise, or are you finding like entire apps moving?
Like apps moving, or like I'll wake up one morning and I'll open up my messages, and my messages on my messenger are like real big, and I or it takes all of my messages and puts them into archive like that. I don't
Wow,
even do
so
anything. Yeah, it's strange.
it's no kidding.
You get used to it. You get used to it. I mean, that we have the same computer. My computer does all kinds of crazy stuff. Sometimes I can find files, sometimes I can't. They just disappear.
Don't take a nap, or all your folders will be gone.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have to, constantly keep up on it, because if we don't, it'll just I'm writing a second book, and when I was doing that, um, one of my folders, of, like, all this stuff I had in Word just disappeared. Took it, like, weeks to find it.
No kidding. So when my headphones fell off there, I remember you're hanging out with your sister and the colonial woman
Oh,
up
yeah,
here.
so they were getting ready in the bathroom, and then, when they did that, um, they looked into the mirror, and when they looked in the mirror, there was another woman standing in the mirror, and she had on a colonial outfit. And then there was a time when my brothers and I were, watching TV, and then my sister's record player turned on upstairs, but what happened was it was switching records, so it was take one record off and put another one on. Just,
Wow.
crazy stuff like that. Or I had a friend come over to the house one time. I was like 10 years old, and he wanted to witness something, but nothing was going on that day. We were in the kitchen eating some sandwiches, and then the radio just turned on and went. No, the volume just turned way up, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And he ran out of the house so scared, and he had turned whiter than any ghost I'd ever seen in my life at that point. But he was always at school telling the story about it. But I was just laughed to myself because he was scared. I mean, he was literally scared. I just went off. I just walked over and said, "No," and turned it off. I mean, you get used to it after a while. You see so much of it, but it was like it wasn't until I was turning 50 then it really vamped up. My wife went away on vacation for 2 weeks, into San Diego to visit her daughter, and while she was gone for 2 weeks, I saw everything you could imagine in a scary movie happening in my house for 2 weeks. It was I saw the uh, I saw the famed Hat Man appear in my basement. Um, I saw I saw these clouds that would come out of the corner of the room. I'd be laying in bed, and a cloud would come out of the corner. And each time it came out of the corner of the room, it came out a different color. One time it was red, one time's blue, one time's yellow, and then it came out with red with black stripes, blue with black stripes, yellow with black stripes. I had 8 foot, like 8 foot size skeletons walking around the house. I had green and red mist pouring out of the walls, looking like it's coming out of a witch's cauldron. I had skull faces floating around the room with red eyes and fangs. Um, yeah, it got pretty crazy. Got really crazy.
It sounds like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff to see. If we go back to the beginning, like what was the experience with the Hat Man?
The Hat Man was my cat was downstairs in the basement, and I was going to go downstairs and get him. I said, and he was sitting on the couch. I said, "Come on, buddy, it's time to go." And he looked at me. He looked to his right, and I looked to my left, and I was like, "What's he looking at?" And then I saw a wall of blackness appear in the middle of the floor, and then I saw a man walk out of it. And the man, when he walked out, he had this like wide rim hat and this long black coat, and he started walking across the floor. But the thing that was strange to me was when I saw him doing that, he didn't have any feet. So he was just walking across with no feet and just walked across all the way over to the corner of the room and then just walked through it and disappeared. And then when I turned back and looked, the wall of blackness just shut up. That was it. And I was like, and my cat looked at me like, "What the heck was that?" And I was like, I grabbed him, and that was it. So, and then from that point on, there was just an eerie feeling, a really bad eerie feeling in my basement the entire time. So, yeah.
And that was the only time.
What's that?
That was the only time it showed up. Just the one big
That time,
experience.
yeah.
That time. Wow.
I see him on a regular basis now. He comes in like once a month. Um, and every time I see him, he tips his hat to me and then he starts talking to me. But he's just here. He's not in spirit. He's from another realm. He's from another dimension. And he's here to gain information because what we are able to do here as far as connecting with spirit, they can't do that in his realm. So they are trying to figure out how to do that. So that's why he comes here.
Wow. So, like, how do some of these conversations go, if you don't mind me sharing?
He just comes in. "Hi, Daniel. How are you?" I mean, it's very,
Oh,
yeah. He knows my name. So, and I just say, "What?" I say, "You just hanging out again?" "Yep," because he's getting paid for doing what he does, and he reports back to other people. So, but he doesn't. I mean, he knows he's not going to get anything from me. He knows because we've talked about it. I said in the very beginning, I said, "You can't get anything from me." I said, I can't teach you to do this because with this ability of being able to see, hear, feel, smell, and taste, and sometimes and always communicate with spirit, I can't teach it to you. You either have it or you don't. It's not like you can go to school and take an intuition class and then think that you're going to become a psychic medium. It doesn't work that way. You either have this ability or you don't. And some people see spirit, but to be able to actually communicate with them and have conversations with them, that's a different deal. That's a different level. And you either have that level or you don't. So he understands that. So he just comes in and checks in and says hi to me. I mean, because he's around here anyway. And he just says hello. We talk a little bit, and then he goes on about his way. And then I don't see him for a little while. Then he'll come back about a month later, and yeah,
uh,
it's
uh,
it's happened. When did that happen? That happened in, let's see, 9 years ago. So, and I see him frequently for the past 9 years.
the past 9 years, he's been
Yeah,
visiting on a monthly basis.
yeah, yeah. But now I also see Like in my regular day life, I was followed by the what we would call the Men in Black when I got here to Arizona because Spirit led us out here. I was when I was developing my ability. I found out I was able to channel, and I because I was working with other mediums to develop this, and I found out I could channel. So, and every time I channeled with one of those, a message kept coming through saying I was going to move out west in 4 years. Well, 4 years later, here I am. So, um, and it was right before we were moving out here, finding out where we were going to go, and so Spirit told me I said, "Where am I going to move to?" And they said, "Arizona." And I said, "Where in Arizona?" And they just said, "You'll know." So the very next day, my wife and I woke up, and I get touched on my face by my spirit guides, by Spirit, and so when I get yes, I feel that go across my forehead. When I get no, it feels like a tear running down my face. So so my wife, I said, "Get me a map of Arizona," and she put it in front of me. I said, "I'm going to show you where we're going to move." And I closed my eyes and started pointing places. Kept getting touched. No, 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 no. Yes. Oh, we're moving to Sierra Vista, Arizona. Here we are. But what's in Sierra Vista, Arizona is the crazy part. I live right next to a place called Fort Huachuca. Fort Huachuca is the largest intelligence base in the United States, of which in the 1960s and 70s they used to do experiments on psychic mediums, like
No way.
experiments. Yeah.
And do you find like there's remnants of it that's running through your house?
What part? Like the
Um,
like the spirit part? It has nothing to do with, where I go. It has all to do with me. Spirit come to me.
right.
They come to me no matter where I go, no matter so I always tell people, my friends all the time, "You want your house to be haunted? Invite me in. It will be in 10 minutes
Mm.
because it gets that kind of bad."
Yeah, I was talking to someone who said they had a magnetic energy to them, and they were talking a lot where the spirits kind of have a pull or energy is pulled towards them.
Well, the reason that is being that the person who told you that doesn't even understand it. The reason that happens is because your soul. Some of us have a soul that the soul light is brighter than others, and when it's brighter than others, it's just a higher vibrational, higher energy. And the reason and when spirits see that, they know that that's someone that they can communicate with, so that's who they go towards. Um, like a moth to a flame. When the moth sees a flame, it's going to go towards it. But when you got a whole bunch of spirit around it, and you're the only one amongst like 1,000 people who has that such bright light, then the spirit are going to go towards it. Has nothing to do with magnetic.
Yeah, I-
Most of these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They really don't. I see spirit all day long. I don't ever not see spirit throughout my day. And when I see spirit throughout my day, I see thousands a day. I see into the low energy realm. When I'm looking there, when I close my eyes, I'm not just looking in there. I'm there because they see me. They make contact with me all the time. When I see that place, sometimes what I see looks like the worst horror movie you've ever seen in your life, except you wouldn't see this kind of movie because they wouldn't be able to show it on TV and movies. It's that kind of bad. I mean, it's
wow.
just pure debauchery. And I see a sea, like an ocean of people. But I don't just see people. I see dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, other beings from other worlds, everything. Nobody has
Wow.
what I do. They just don't. When I explain it to other mediums, they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Like, what is the process, and what do you see there? Like, when you,
Debauchery. It's horrible. Like I say, like I'm going to tell you something no other ghost hunters ever told you because they don't fucking know. Uh, when they are there, when spirit is in the low energy realm, it's just another place. It's a low energy realm. There's no one who's walking around with horns and a tail torturing anybody. Although there are those who are torturing other people, other beings, not for the fact of what you did when you are alive here in your body, because not everything there is from Earth. Um, they're torturing you to retrieve energy from you. So negative energies need more negative energy in order to survive because where they are there's streams of energy that go through looks like it's going through the air, but it's just flowing through the air, and there's little pockets of it. And so regular spirit have to walk up and collect that energy, because if they don't, what they feel like when they walk around is like what we would feel like if you're nauseous. So they need to collect energy, so they know where to go and where to get that from. But there's not a lot there. I call it the dark place because the background, everything there is dark. The only light that is there comes off the beings that are there, which is gazillions of them. Um, there are buildings there. There is structure there, but when you see the structure there, it kind of looks like the movie Escape from New York. It's just very run down, apocalyptic type place. Um, but what these ghost hunters won't tell you, or other mediums won't tell you, is when you are there, if another spirit were to walk up and punch you in the face, you'll feel it. They still feel physical pain. It doesn't last very long, but they still feel it. Like I saw some beings there one time. Um, I saw people walking around because I see everything, and it just doesn't turn off for me. So if I'm, and even with my eyes open, I see things walking around, wispy and stuff like that, and little figures and stuff like. But with in a dark room, I see everything as I see them like I see you, and and so I saw these beings come up, and they were. If you've ever seen like a murder mystery show where they someone dies and they do an outline of a person on the ground, where I saw these beings walk up who were outline people. They didn't have any facial features whatsoever; just you could see right through them. But the outline of them was glowing from white to yellow to red. When I see red, I know it's a negative energy; it's a bad one. So, and then they had squiggly lines inside of their body that were glowing from white to yellow to red. And I saw them walking up to other beings and punching and kicking the shit out of them. And I saw that the largest of this group was like, he was like 8 feet tall, walked up to this guy. Now, they're not breathing there. So they don't have physical lungs. They're not breathing there, but they still feel that physical pain. And this thing walked up to him and grabbed this guy by the neck and was choking the shit out of him. And when he was choking him, his eyes were popping out of his head and his head tongue coming out. I was like, "Ah!" And then what they do is they drag them off into the lower, deeper, dark realm of the low energy realm, and then they keep them under control so that way that they can draw energy from them. Because if you're there, you're going to get some energy. But these beings who are there, who are in control of this place, don't want anyone going anywhere, and they need energy too, and they don't want to go to retrieve it for themselves. What they do is they just keep a bunch of people under control and suck it off them. They're energy vampires is what they are. Now, not every part of that place is like that. That's the deeper, darker realms. But these negative energies, these bad ones, are walking around everywhere, and they come across somebody. I mean, these things are fucking huge, and they're old, and they've been there so long they can control anybody. So a lot of spirit there do stay in groups all the time. I see what I call the parade every couple of nights. And the parade is I see people walking. It looks like they're walking from like maybe 50 miles away. And because I mean, it's just, there's no time and space there. And everything there that is in front of you is behind you. So there's actually, if you're there, no spirit could walk up behind you and like go, boo. They don't do that anyway. But, but there's nothing behind you. So everything is always in front of you. So like I had a guy, I'll get to my other story, but I had a guy come up to me one time, and he ran up to me, and I mean, just they say all kinds of crazy things. He come up to me and said, "Hey, are you Irish?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm Irish." And then he ran past me. But when he ran past me, I didn't have to turn around because he was still going the other way in front of me.
Hmm.
So but yeah, I saw I see this parade of people, and they're coming down this. They're winding down, and they're coming. And every time I see them there, it's as though I'm standing on a balcony, and I'm looking down, and I see them, and they come down. It's like a parade. They come in front of me, and then they walk past me, and they all do this and look up at me, and then they walk past. Because I don't look like what you look like, or what you see me to look like to them when I'm there. When I'm there, I just look like a figure of a human being, but I'm pure solid white light, and that's why they come up to me all the time.
Wow.
Because they think I'm the light into heaven.
I think has you experienced one where they told you this, or is this with
Yeah,
your?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've had a total of about 10 people told me not only that I look like the light into heaven, I actually am. So my soul is. And the 10 people, I wouldn't actually call them people. One of them was a person. The other ones are not people per se. They're just my guides, which are archangels. And the other one who told me I am the light into heaven is God. I've seen him 11 times. He's spoken to me 11 times. So my soul, so your soul has been here. Let me ask. Um, again, I just asked how, and they just told me you've been here 28 times. This is your 28th lifetime. You've walked on this world 28 times, but your soul is much older than that. Yeah, and you're not going to know how old it is until you get home. Uh, but my soul has been there, has come back more than that. My soul's been here, coming here since the beginning of time, for the reason of on this world. In order for spirit to be able to go anywhere, to come into this world or leave this world, or even come here to visit from heaven, they have to go through a portal. And there's the portal is the what we would call the light into heaven. That's how you get through. Um, my soul is that portal. So when we are here, my soul's bright light has to shine all the time, so all spirit know where to go and what to do. And if they don't know how to get through that light, they'll come up and ask, because they know that it is a soul. Once they come up and see it, I'm standing there and they see my light, and sometimes they walk up to me and ask me questions. So the spirit will ask me questions. And when I was first finding out that I was this, I just didn't know what to do with that. So that's why I started getting in touch with other people to figure out what was going on with me. And then through those channeled messages, that's when the message came through that they kept calling me the shining light all the time. And then it was 2 years later I found out they finally they said you're ready, and told me what was going on. And they said you're because I kept getting messages that kept saying you're the portal, you're the portal. And then one of them finally came through and said you're the portal for all souls that come into this world come through me. All the ones that leave go through me, but only specifically for this world.
Wow. How would these messages go through to you?
They just come through as pure thought, or sometimes it's a voice.
And sometimes it's a voice. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I always get, but like when they're touching my face. So when I say I get touched right here for yes and no, that was in the beginning. I was get one touch here and one touch here. Now I get touched in 102 different places by 102 different archangels. And archangels are not men with wings and shields and swords by any means. They're not magical beings going to fix our lives. I mean, seriously, if you had a guardian angel following you around, guarding you from everything in your entire life, what would you learn?
Yeah. What would you
Nothing.
learn?
You wouldn't learn anything. So that's why we don't have guardian angels. They
Mhm.
don't do that. I mean, even people say all the time, "Is my mom and dad watching over me?" Now, if I stood next to you for 4 hours and stared at you and watched over you, then walked away, didn't say a damn word, would that help you any? So then why would you need your parents to stand there and watch over you? You don't.
Right.
This is all the stuff that people learn from television and movies. Yeah, I mean, it's just simple stuff. I mean, but yeah, in the same sense, why would a guardian angel keep you from getting cancer, but not keep your dog from getting hit by a car? Because they don't do either. That's why.
Yeah.
God doesn't judge us. We judge ourselves 1,000 times a day. Why does he need to do it once more? He doesn't. He doesn't
No.
judge anybody. People judge us. God made everything easy. People make everything complicated.
Um, I gotta ask, what is your most prominent memory dealing with such stuff as you deal with?
Seeing God 11 times. Uh, the very first conversation with him is when during one of these channeling sessions when he came in, because I what it is I sit with someone and we clear out our minds, and I hold out my hands and they grab my hands, and every time they do that they go like they got chuck electricity. It's like when I do readings for people, I only hold one hand because I don't want to hurt them. So when I did that with this woman, a voice came through and he just came and this was prominent. It was kind of cool, and this is the way I talk about things now. The voice came through and he said, "Hello, my son," and I said, "Who is this?" And he said, "Oh, it is I, your father, but you call me God. But I don't like to be called that word because you use that word too many times that have nothing to do with me." And I was like, "Oh." He said, "I so call me father," and I said, "Okay." Now, at that moment when he came through, my skin felt like it was on fire. I mean, little like you stuck my arms and my whole body underneath of a heat lamp, as well as the other 5 people in the room were experiencing the same thing, and everyone's hair was sticking straight out and goosebumps were happening, and then I was like I was touching my arms, and he said, "Don't worry, that'll go away soon." He knew
Oh my
exactly what it was got because his energy is so strong. When people talk about the raising your vibrations of your soul, they can't actually do that. That's a God energy. You can't raise the vibration of your soul. Your soul actually, the vibration of your soul has to be lowered in order to be put into the human body, because otherwise the human body would explode. So, so yeah, so he came through, and then he was telling me about me and telling me that I needed to trust myself. And one time, he even said to me, he said, you have to learn to trust yourself, Daniel. You have to." And I was like, I said, I know I'm having a problem with that. And he said, and you also have to stop asking why. And I said, oh, you heard that, huh? And he said, of course, I hear everything. And what was taking place was I kept asking myself, why do I have this? Why is this me? What's going on? And then he told me, and then he said, "You need to shit or get off the pot." And I was like, I laughed, and I was like, "My mom says that." And he said, "Where do you think she gets it from?" And I was like, he said, and then he laughed, and I said, "You're laughing." He said, "Oh, we love a good joke, Daniel, because
Oh,
because laughter and jokes are joys, and that's what they are." So, and then at that point, he said, "You will be working with my children soon." You refer to them as archangels. So whenever someone says to me, "Who are your guides?" I say, My guides are who we refer to as archangels, because that's the way he said it to me. Um, and he said they will provide you all the answers, and if you need them to come through, you just call out to them, or eventually they will just be with you all the time, and they are now. So, but he also said, if you need my help, just ask. Now, I never really knew what that meant until, as of recently, about 6 months ago, I talk to my guys all the time, and they're always touching my face and telling me things. And when they were touching my face in the very beginning, it was only happening 5% of my day. Now it's 98% of my day. It's just there all the time. And it's a shared thought now. Even sometimes I can be having conversations with a person who's standing in front of me, and while I'm talking to them at the same and my guides at the same time. I'm having 2 completely different conversations, and completely aware the whole entire time. It's just the way when it happens, it's like after I walk away, I'm like, okay, that was strange. So,
get it.
yeah, he said I'll be working with his children, and so when that process came into play, of them touching me. The way that works is I would go to sleep at night in this very beginning, because I used to see these blue and white lights come out of the floor, and then they go through the roof, and I couldn't. But you couldn't see where they were going, and then now I don't see that anymore. Now I just see them as they are, completely surrounding me. And then at nighttime, I would see these little arms coming down, a little look like little tentacle things, and they were touching my body all over, and I feel these cold touches on me. And then I'd go to sleep because this was at nighttime, and then I would wake up like maybe 3 or 4 hours later and throwing up and crapping everywhere because the energy is so strong. This is what it does to you. They have to work on your soul that so that you can take the energy, so you can see them, hear them, feel them, communicate with them better. And then my body had to be purged at the same time. So this would go on for 3 or 4 hours, be thrown up everywhere, and then I'd heal up, and then I'd be okay. And then they would do the same process over again 2 weeks later. And that went on for twice a month, like having the flu twice a month. And that process took 3 years. So it went on for 3 years.
And now that it's over, what was the biggest change you noticed in your
That my
body?
ability keeps changing all the time.
Keeps
Like
changing.
seeing into like I would see into the dark place and just see people around, but now I see into the deep dark realm of it all the time. I can't turn it off. It's just there. As soon as I'm in my dark room, I just see it, and it's just
Jesus.
you don't want to see it.
No, I don't believe I
Yeah,
do,
it's the
but
worst. It's the worst. It's just debauchery. Just horrible things. Or like one of the stories I have is I had about 8 months ago. Let me ask, was it 8 months? Yeah, I'm just confirming with them. Um, I was sitting on the edge of on my chair looking at the computer, and I was like, I'm going to take a nap. So I went to put my feet up on the bed, and when I did, immediately I see things all the time. So I saw a man standing in front of me. So immediately I went into it and I said, "Do you want to cross over?" And he said, "No, I don't think so." And I said, "Why not?" Now that was probably not the question to ask, was why not? But when I said why not, this thing like came over me, and he imprinted a memory on me. But so it was like being in a dream, but I was awake, and I'm now him. So I'm looking through his eyes, and he's in an alleyway, and I see it across the street. I see a car there, and I see a neon sign, and then I saw a guy run past the alleyway, and then he came back and stopped. And when he saw me in the alleyway, which was now I'm him, he saw him, and his arm came up, and he picked up, and he had a gun in his hand. So this guy, his arm came up, and when his arm came up, my arm just automatically came up, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, and I had a gun in my hand, and then they exchanged fire, and then the guy I am shot and killed that guy. And then the guy dropped down. And I was like, oh shit, you killed that guy. And then all of a sudden, right back at me. And then that guy standing in front of me again. I know you killed him, but I think it was out of self defense. That's what I'm getting from you. And he said, yeah, he said that guy was following me around all night long. I couldn't figure out why. So, and I had to defend myself. I said, yeah, I get it. And I said, is that why you don't want to cross over? And he said, no, because I don't want to come back. See what they understand when you stand up out of your body, as I know, you'll get all the perfect memories of your lifetime here, but even you'll get all the perfect memories of your 27 other lifetimes. You're going to know when you stand up out of your body and you take a step to the left and look to the right, and that portal of light will turn on for you. Me, uh, if you walk in, there's a possibility you might have to come back again. And this guy knew that, and he didn't want to, so he stayed here in your low energy realm.
Hmm.
The only problem was when he walked away, and that experience ended. That memory he put on me, now mine.
Now your
Yeah.
memory.
Yeah, it's my memory. I feel as though I shot that guy. I mean, like it was yesterday.
Wow. And has this happened like multiple times to you, or you kind
Yeah,
of gain the
yeah.
memory?
I also remote view. It just turns on. And I had one experience where I saw a dog sitting in front of him. I thought it was remote viewing because I saw the dog playing with two people. He was walking up to this woman, and she was rubbing up against him and petting him. And then this man was taking a ball and throwing it, and he was going to catch the ball and bringing it back. And that went on for a couple minutes. And then all of a sudden, that just went away. And then the dog was sitting in front of me, so I knew I was no longer remote viewing. And then the dog said to me, "When are my mommy and daddy coming home?" So, because when anything that talks to me, whatever talks to me, I hear it as English. I have to hear it as English because so I can either cross them over or they have conversations with me, and that's what I get from it. So but I had to tell the dog that he just had to wait, and his mom and dad will be home soon. So because you had to wait for
Wow.
them to die. Well, like I had a guy run up to me one time, and he said, "Hey, let me show you how I was murdered." And I was like, "What?" And when he said that, I saw a wound appear on his head. But the problem is when that wound appeared on his head, I felt the pain of it, and I got a huge migraine headache. I'm like, "No, stop! Turn it off." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. Sorry, I didn't know that would happen." And I said, then I said to him, "Do you want to cross over?" He said, "No, no, I got to find that guy." So he was looking around in the lower energy realm for the guy who murdered him. I said, "Well, you're not going to be able to do anything to him." He said, "Yeah, but I need to tell him, what was his problem." I said, "You don't need to do any of that shit. What you need to do is cross over and go home and stay home." And he's like, "No, no, I don't want to do that." And then he walked away.
Gone like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange there in that place. It's when you're there, you're the same thing you are when you're here. So what I mean by that is you still have pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, all the stuff that you had, drama, all that crap. The only thing you don't do is you're not breathing, you're not smelling anything, you don't eat, so that's why I explain to people, like people here, like these ghost hunters and all this other, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. You can't take sage and make anything go away. That doesn't work because sage, you're burning something in a physical realm is not going to affect something in a non-physical realm, especially something that doesn't have lungs and doesn't smell and doesn't breathe. So how are you going to make it go away? You're not. You can't put up a cross. A cross is a form of punishment. How are you going to make something go away with something bad? You're not. You can't use the Bible. Why not? Because the Bible has murder in it. How are you going to make something go away with something bad in it? It doesn't work. None of that. The only thing that makes these negative ones go away is by being a positive person. That's the only thing that works.
So kind of changing the energy around you would
Yeah.
change the environment.
Yeah, as long as you're putting out good vibes and putting out good, positive energy, but also being a positive person. But, a lot of people who have a lot of, these negative spirit around them are people who are suffering addictions and all this other crap. So, well, they have a lot of drama in their lives, and yeah, yeah, and they choose
Wow.
not to get rid of it. I mean, I like if me even being a spiritual person, if I see somebody, I go, and they say, "What do you think of that guy?" "Oh, that guy's a piece of shit." And they go, "Oh, but you're a spiritual guy." I go, "Oh, he's just a piece of shit because he chooses to be that way. He can choose differently, but they don't." So, I mean, you figure these things out really quickly, but especially when you see spirit as much as I do, you figure things out real fast. But they tell me things all the time too. Like I had some spirit come up to me last week, and I was just laying there in bed, and I saw this guy and this group of people there, and the guy turns around and he said, "Hey, Daniel, can you hear us?" And I said, "Yeah, I can hear you." And then he turned right back around to them and said, "Yeah, he can hear us." I mean, it's just comical sometimes what they say. 3 days ago, I had a guy come to me. His name is Tim, and Tim had a younger kid with him. They were both in the low energy realm, and Tim was, and this kid's name was Matt. And Tim was kind of like father figuring this kid because he was just brand new there, and he didn't know what to do and how to act while being there. So he was taking him under his wing, trying to protect him from all these negative ones, because there's negative ones around everywhere. So that's why they all stay together in groups so they don't have to be bothered by these negative ones. But I mean, even when I see the negative ones, I mean, when I see that place that we're all with all the buildings and stuff like that, like a couple months ago, I saw some people running down what almost looks like a street, and I heard people screaming, yelling. One guy said, "Run into the building! Run into the building!" And everybody's screaming and stuff like that because they're afraid, because they're trying to get away from these bad ones.
Wow.
Yeah,
Have you ever experienced like where the bad ones go, or is that just something that
I've been there. Yeah,
you've been
you don't
there?
want no, you don't want to be there. Like, but in the very beginning, when I was finding out I had this, I was already about 2 years into it, and it was just progressing. And my guides wanted me to go to this low energy realm so that I could. They said they wanted me to go there to cross spirit over, but that was not their intention. Their intention was to me to be able to deal with those those real bad ones. Because if I can deal with them, dealing with people, nothing. So I went there. They wanted me to go in there for a week. So in meditation, I meditate, and then the whole room would turn like a different type of dark black, and then I would just walk in, and then I was walking around, and I saw buildings there, and that was freaking me out when I first saw that because I'd never seen any of that. But broken glass everywhere. I saw like a building with broken glass, and I saw something standing on the other side of it, and it looked like a skinny, like little child type thing. And then when I was going in that building, then I saw these beings there. There were four of them standing there. And if you've ever seen like Bugs Bunny, like there was that one episode where they had the Martian and it had that big tall red thing, and it was, oh, people. Well, that's what these things look like, except they had big eyes and they had fangs, and it was like real thick hair and stuff like that. Like if you look at a shrubbery, like a little tiny branches, that's how thick the hair was. And I walked up and they said, "What do you want, Daniel?" I mean, they knew who the fuck I was, and I said, "I'm here to cross spirit over." And they said, "You're not going to get anything here." And I said, "Well, God wants." And as soon as I said the word God, they were like, "Oh, fuck him! We don't want to hear about him." Oh, they hate him. I mean, even though they're all children of him, but they hate him. Um, but they're just horrible. That's what so I said, "Well, I work for him." I said, they said, "Well, you need to get the hell out of here." And I was like, "Well, I'm not leaving, and you can't make me leave because you can't get close to me." I said, "Because my if you don't get away from me, my family's going to mojo your ass out of here." And they said, "We know who they are because I have archangels completely surrounding me all the time." And because they went like this, I looked up and they said, "We know who they are." And I said, "Well, then get away from me so I can go do what I'm supposed to do here." And you need to leave. I said, "Well, you can't make me leave." They try to get close to me, but they can't get close to me. So, because I can walk into any, I mean, spirit is everywhere you are. You wake up in the morning, you do your daily routine, you shit, shower, and shave, and then go to work and do your job, and then come home from your job and eat some dinner, watch some TV, and go to sleep and wake up and do it all over again. Spirits are around you 24/7. Some spirit want to be seen, most of them don't, but they're always around you. But if you were actually to see what was going on around you spiritually every single day, you'd go hide in the fucking closet. Although that wouldn't make any difference because they're still there. But it's that kind of bad. So yeah, I was walking around and then I saw one of those beings and I saw a little tiny one clinging to the leg, and so I could see that was a child. But I was walking around, but I couldn't find anybody to cross over. But the point of being there was for me to be able to deal with those beings and not be afraid of them. Because if I'm not afraid of them, I'm not going to be afraid of people. I mean, because people are just people, they're just idiots. Most people are just spiritually lazy or spiritually gullible because they don't know what the hell they're doing in this realm. So yeah, I went there for 7 days. I couldn't find anything to cross over, and but now I see those beings all the time. Um, about 2 months ago, I was watching TV with my wife, and sometimes the energy from the TV makes things a little bit stronger right in that place. So I was closing my eyes, and when I did, I was in a room, and what was happening, I was standing behind that being, and that being was in the front of the room, but the room was people lined up in a big long line, and there was men and women there, and the men had on like like a gray button down shirt, and the women had on like a gray blouse, like they were in prison, and they were because these people were standing in a line, and they're all standing there like this with their heads down, and every now and then they'd look up, and then they'd look back down like they weren't not allowed to look up, and then I saw a guy one time move out from the line like this because he was looking at me because I was standing behind this thing, and then he went like that again, and I went like this. I waved to him, and then when the thing wasn't looking, he went like that, and waved to me. And what was going? But the strange part was I crouched down to see where the end of the room was. There was no end. It
There was
just
no
went on.
end.
It just went on forever. Yeah, and it was just people lined up. And then I saw something coming through the back of the line, and it was one of these beings, and he came up to the front of the line, and he turned, he grabbed one of those people by the back of the head and cocked their head back and put his head over top of him, and his mouth opened up, and all this energy was coming from the person into that being. And then he got done, and he put their head back up, and then he walked away. That's what they're doing.
Wow. And
You
when
don't
you're
want to be there. You don't want to be
no
there. No, but
no
it's a
kidding.
choice where you go. I mean, no, you're not gonna. No one can keep you from going anywhere or save you a place or send you someplace. You go where you go because of your choice of when you walk up out of your body. That's it. And you're either going to walk into the light or you're not, and that's that simple. And if you don't walk into the light, like like I have some. I go on TikTok and do video. I talk on there to talk about my book and to talk, and promote my show. And so when I'm there, I met a bunch of people, and there were some people I met who do a spirit box thing. Well, these spirit box people don't know what the fuck they're doing either. So because they were doing a spirit box thing on another live show that I went into after I got done mine, and when I went in there, I heard the spirit coming through and talking, and they're like, "Oh, we can hear him," and it was this woman doing the box, the person who had the live show, and another person there who was trying to contact her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, and they got a hold of him, and then and he was saying some stuff, and they said, "We got him. I think we got him," and so I typed in there. I said, "Hey, you need to invite me into this room because you don't know what the hell's going on. You need to have me come into the room." So the girl said, "Oh, okay," because she knows I'm an expert in this. She knows when I do readings there and stuff like that, but I talk about spirit and spirituality in a way where everybody who knows me there knows I know what I'm talking about. So, so she invites me into the room, and I said, I said, "Hey, you don't even know what the hell you're doing here. That guy is letting you know he's not in heaven. He's in the low energy realm." And they said, "How do you know that?" I said, "Because you just said he's got 30 shadow people around him that won't let him leave." And they were like, "What? What?" They called out to him again, and he came through, and they said, he that's exactly what he said. Oh my God. And I said, "He's in the low energy realm."
Oh shit.
And the girl said, "But I had that medium, Monica, do a reading for me with him." I said, "Monica is connecting with the energy. Monica doesn't know where he's at. She's just connecting with the energy." And she said, "Well, he tells me he loves me and still misses me." I said, "Yeah, but he's not in heaven. He's in this place. And the problem is you're holding on to his energy so much. He doesn't want to leave and cross over into the light. I said, you're keeping him from going to heaven. She's like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. I said, well, let this fucking shit go. They still haven't let it go. And they did another one of these sessions, and they're still just like playing it off like it's entertainment. Telling the one girl is telling this guy, just go lay with her. It's okay. She misses you so much. And all. I'm like, what are you doing? You're keeping these fucking beings, these people here from crossing over to heaven. You need to stop this because this is not fucking entertainment. You're messing with someone's energy. And she's like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." I said, "I know exactly what I'm talking about. You're just trying to get fucking people to visit your site for stupid, stupid entertainment value." But yeah, people they
Wow.
just don't know what they're doing. They
Is
just
that the same couple where the spirit or energy had the black people around them?
yeah, yeah.
Do you think like that hold on energy draws them in, or
Um, when they're trying to communicate with them, yeah, these other beings come around because they all want to. So the bad ones are like are trying to influence people as much as they can. So if they can come through that box and influence people, sure, make them scared because
oh,
that's what these negative energies want to do. That's why they come into this realm all the time. They come into our realm so they can collect negative energy, and they can get it from us because we are buffets of negative energy all the time. I mean, you want to go to the worst place in the world to find negative energy? Go to church because everybody in there is trying to prove to everyone else that they're a better Christian. They do it all the time. It's ridiculous. But we have people walk around with drama all day long, and so when those negative energies can't get enough of finding enough of the ones who have not crossed over around there, they'll come into this realm here and get it off of people.
right?
And people think it's people use that as entertainment. I don't think it's funny.
No,
No.
especially just like you physically seeing the energy as like lives in the
Yeah.
other realm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like whenever I see them, they always have clothes on too.
I
They,
always
a
have
lot of them have like clothes on. They look like when they're walking, like they look like peasants because it's very hard for them. They're pure energy. They can manipulate themselves to look a certain way, uh, but it's not much more beyond of what they were in the first place. But they don't have enough energy to really present themselves in other ways. But I don't just see them like that. I see them doing everything too. I see them making out and having sex, and I saw one thing a woman having sex with something that the only thing I can equate it to would look like a werewolf. But but yeah, they're all just hanging out with each other. I saw some beings in front of me one time. I saw 7 of them. I asked them if they wanted to cross over, and the only thing that I can equate it to of what they look like is they look like Chewbacca.
okay.
Yeah, they were all just standing in front of me, and I asked them if they want to cross over, and one of them said, "No, we're okay. We're just having a conversation." I was like,
Wow.
"Okay, yeah, yeah."
Hmm.
You just yeah, nothing phases me anymore from what I say. I just see it, and I automatically go into my, do you want to cross over? I can help you get there. Do you want to leave this place? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Some of them are. I was in the hospital one time back in 2018, the very beginning. I had the flu and I had cellulitis in my leg, so I'm laying there, and the guy who was in the room next to me, his curtains closed, and so I'm just laying there, and all of a sudden I see this woman appear in front of me, in the wall, just comes in front of me, and I said, and I was just standing there looking at her, and then another woman came in, and then they turned around and looked at each other, and one said, "What do you think?" And she said, "Okay," and then they started kissing, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, let me watch this for a little bit," and then a guy came in. The two girls were stopped kissing, and the guy and girl went to kissing, and then one woman was still turning there and staring at me again because I just looked like this bright white light. And then another guy came in. Those two stopped kissing. The two girls went back to kissing. The two guys were kissing, and I'm thinking this is one big spirit orgy. I'm not invited. So that's when I
Hmm.
said, "Hey, is there anybody here who wants to cross over?" And they're looking at each other like this way, and they all stopped and turned and looked at me. And I said, "Do you want to cross over?" And they said, and one guy said, "No, we're okay." I said, "Really? You don't want to?" He said, "No, we're okay. We got family here. We got friends." He said, "Besides, here, there's no rules. I can do whatever I want." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, there's no rules. He said, if I want to come into your realm, and he said it just like that, and I want to play a prank on somebody, you can't see who did it. And I
Fair
was like,
enough.
okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, he said, yeah, I can do that anytime I want to. I said, why would you do that? He said, why would you do it? Because you think it's funny, right? I said, yeah. He goes, I think it's funny. He said, but I'm allowed to do that here. He said, if I go into the light, we can't do that. They know where that place is. They know it's home. But some of them like to be there doing whatever they want to do. But it's not just bad ones there. I see deer walking around and horses walking around. And I see them grazing, and people, why would they be grazing? Well, they're doing the same thing they were when they passed before they passed away. So they are still themselves. Everyone is. But the only difference of when you walk into heaven, or if you stay here earthbound, whatever age you die, and if you stay in earthbound, that's what age you will remain forever.
Hmm.
Sort of, because that place is coming to an end. Or if you walk into heaven, if you die over the age of 30 years old, you will go back to more like not an age, but a feeling of like when you were 30. If you die under the age of 30, you would go back from that up to 30. But in the same way, uh, if you die over the age of 30 years old and you have to come back, you wouldn't come back for another 80 years after the time of your passing. If you die under the age of 30 years old, you come back 8 years later, a minimum. Sometimes a little bit more, but not so much. But yeah, and it's all for one reason, so that when you do come back, you're not recognized because you come back as a different version of you every time. Sometimes you come back as a woman, sometimes you come back as a man because you're not going to learn lessons in one body. So you have to come. But there's only two genders. That's it. There's no all these other genders that everyone wants to talk about. There's only two.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, is there ever a moment where, like, I know this has become your normal life, but has there ever been moments
Yeah.
where you just need to shut it down,
Um,
or it was too much?
I'm able to now. I just found out recently about 6 months ago I can actually turn it off if I want to go to sleep. That's the only time I ever turn it off. Um, but sometimes I mean, I don't because I want to be able to experience everything because I experience everything so I can explain it to everyone else. Even the horrible stuff. And the reason I explain the horrible stuff is because I want everybody to do what God wants me to do is which is teach people why we are here and what is our purpose, and also teach them to learn to listen, trust, and follow through with their intuition, with their spirit guides and their soul. We call it intuition, but it's your soul to get through your life so that you will learn your lessons, but also fulfill a purpose. And everyone has the same purpose. And our purpose is not becoming a doctor or lawyer because people mistake purpose for occupation, and it's not occupation. It's you can fulfill your purpose while being in your occupation, but what you would be doing is going the extra mile because your purpose is we are here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not because you can, but because you should. In a way, where you're going to help someone to do something physically they cannot do for themselves, or you're helping them to figure it out. That's what our purpose is. It's not some big grandiose story. When you think it's got to be something, it's got to be so big no, that's your ego and that's your own selfishness that you learn from everybody else. Because you wake up in this baby body, and you wake up in your baby body going, what? And your mom and dad's going, I'm your mom and dad. And you're going, I don't know who the heck you are, but okay. And and then they raise you and they teach you the ways of the world, and everything they teach you is a lie. And then you have to eventually wake up and figure that out. That's what he wants us to do, and know that we're here to take care of each other and help each other out, instead of you know everyone else wanting to push on you that you need 6 cars and 7 houses and boats. You don't, but we can't figure that out. It takes a long time for us to get that figured out. So, but hopefully we will get it figured out and then fulfill the purpose along the way as well as learning your lessons. But everything you do, if I pick up this towel and I put it down, that's a lesson. If I pick it up and drop it, it's not a bad lesson or a good one. How do I just learn it? Next time I'll grip it a little bit tighter, and that way I won't do the same thing over and over again trying to get a different outcome. And that's, but we're always going to do that throughout our lives. But purpose is a choice. You're either going to do, like if somebody comes up to you and asks you for directions, you're going to make one of two choices. You're going to say to them, I don't got time for you today. I'm late for work. And if you do, well, then get up earlier. It's pretty simple. Or you're going to tell them how to get where they need to go. And when you do that, you always know when you help somebody, you just did something good. That's a choice. And we have a choice to fulfill our purpose. And if we don't fulfill our purpose each time we come back here, you just keep coming back again. until you get it right, until you do it enough.
That's really beautiful, Daniel.
Yeah.
That is, I feel like that is the message, right? Like we're
Yeah.
constantly growing.
Yeah. Yeah. We're supposed to be growing, but growing in a way that, unfortunately, right now we're not doing a very good job. Because what are we doing? We're putting up walls around each other, and we are pointing rockets at each other. We shouldn't be doing that. And that's my mission, to help people to understand that, so we can get away from all that, and move towards working together. Because if we weren't meant to do this together, there wouldn't be 7.5 billion of us. There would only be one.
Hmm.
There's not. We're supposed to be doing this together. But but yeah, along the way, I still got to see all the dead people, so I can help make light of it for people to understand it. Like the whole, having guardian angels and all that stuff, and people. I mean, people. I had a lady I did a reading for yesterday, because I was up in Tucson doing live readings with people, and she swore up and down, "Oh, I see angels." I said, "No, you don't see angels. Angel energy would literally knock you on your butt. It would make you start throwing up and crapping everywhere, because it's so strong." No, no, no. I saw this bright white light, and it's ringing bells. I said, "Just because it's a white light doesn't mean it's an angel." It's not. I said, "Yeah, no, it's not." She goes, "No, it's an angel. You don't know what you're talking about." I said, "Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about." I said, "You're just a average Joe off the street, and I see spirit all day long, and I don't know what I'm talking about. If I didn't know what I'm talking about, why'd you come and see me?" I
Damn.
mean, why do I have I have a podcast that's being turned into for a network. It's on a streaming spiritual network. It's going on Roku and Fire TV. They approached me to be on their network, because I'm the angel guy. If I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, why is that happening? So
Congrats.
yeah, yeah. But but I'm still just a regular guy. I'm just like everybody else, except I have this light thing going on, and I see, hear, feel, smell, sometimes taste. When I say taste, you don't want that part. That's a negative energy that comes through. When that comes through, and they do that to you, it makes it feel like somebody just threw up in your mouth. That's when I say
Uh,
you don't want that. And so, but it doesn't happen often. But you get the like when the guy came up, and I felt the pain of him. Or I had a guy. My wife and I were in a hospital. She was getting a procedure done, and when we were there, my knee started hurting real bad. And she's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "No, my knee's killing me." She's like, I'll go get a doctor." And then I closed my eyes. When I closed my eyes, I was like, "Nope, never mind." She's like, "What?" I said, "There's a spirit sitting in front of me. He's in a wheelchair, and he's bumping into that girl over there, trying to get her attention. And he keeps looking at me, because he wants me to go get her attention for him." I said, "Honey, I got to go tell that lady." And she's like, "Well, you know how people take things." I said, "I got to go do it, because if I don't, this is going to hurt me." So I went over there and introduced myself, and I said, "Excuse me, miss." I said, "Do you know what a medium is?" And she's like, "Oh, I've always wanted to see a medium." And I said, "Yeah, well, you're looking at one. My name's Daniel Jackson, Spirit Medium Daniel. I see dead people." And I said, she said, "Why are you telling me this?" And I said, "Because there's a man sitting here in front of me in a wheelchair, and he's got on this blue and black flannel shirt, and he's a black man, black gentleman, and he's sitting bumping into you." And she said, "What does he look like?" And I said, "He's got this blue and black flannel shirt on." She said, "That's my grandfather. He wore that shirt
grandfather.
all the time." And she said, "Why is he here?" I said, "Because he's telling me he wants to apologize to you for something." And she said, when she was young, her grandfather lived with her, and and he would always talk down to her all the time. So he
Wow.
wanted to apologize for that, so he could cross over into the light. So I told her how to do that, and and then I said, "If you want to, when you get home, this is what you need to do, and then you could just you can email me if you want to, and you can ask me some questions if you want to." So she did email me, and she said, "Yeah." She said, "I did exactly what you said." And then within a couple minutes, she said, "I could smell roses in the house." And I was like, "Great." I said, "Oh, he's gone now." But I had asked her, I said, what?" I said, "He's giving me some knee problems, some really bad pain in my knee. What's going on with that?" She said, "He had polio." And I was
Oh,
like, "Oh shit, there you go, right there." So yeah, he was putting that energy on me. So I would get the attention of her to help her out, or help him out, really.
that's
But
got to be so empowering to almost have like your own ghost whisperer experiences. Is the best I can
yeah, it's
explain
not
it.
like the TV show, but yeah, it's absolutely like that. But usually, but I mean, in the TV show, they turn it around into a positive twist. But not everything that I see turns into a positive twist. A lot of it is goes into a negative way. So I just yeah, it's strange. It's strange. But I mean, but again. I see so much all the time. Nothing ever really surprises me anymore. It's just I see it and then I'm aware of what's going on and or like like with the remote viewing now. With the remote viewing, I'll see other places, but a lot of times I actually catch other people remote viewing me. So I'll be there and it'll turn on and I'll see others. A lot of times I see them in other dimensions and I see them standing in front of look like a store window and they're looking through the window and they're looking directly at me because I wave to them and they wave back.
Also,
Um, but then the other times that I'm seeing them, I saw something recently that was disturbing. So I saw the people on the other side of the window, but on this side of the window, between me and the window, were other people standing there, and they were men in black, and they were talking to each other, and then looking back at me. And then one of them would walk through the window, and one would disappear, and then another one would walk up and talk to somebody, and then they'd go through, and then they'd be in on the other side of that window in that other dimension, like a Stargate type thing.
or they'd actually like the black man would cross over into the window.
Yeah, cross. They go right through the window, or sometimes they go through it, disappear. They went somewhere else, and I see
That's
that.
what.
I've been seeing that a lot. And recently, about maybe 3 weeks ago, I saw a guy, but he was a man in black. He was just standing there watching.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot of experiences there, Daniel.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, the first time it happened, I was laying in bed when I woke up from sleep, and I saw some guy standing there watching me, but I could tell he was like sitting at a desk, and so he was watching me through technology. And so I asked my guides where he was, and they said he was in Texas at an air base. So he's at an Air Force base in Texas, and he's using technology to watch me again because they want to know why I do what I do. They want to know why God talks to me and why He appears to me. They want to know why I'm able to communicate with Him and communicate with archangels, um, so they can use it. And so I saw the guy sitting there, but I couldn't hear him. But I had a conversation with him. I said, "Hey," and he was like, and I was like, "Yeah, I can see you, and I know you're watching me. I know you're using technology. I know you're in Texas. So now that I know all this shit about you, no sense in hiding yourself." And he just looked at me and said, "Okay," and he shook his head. But we had a conversation again. The same thing. They're just trying to get a smoking gun, see if they can figure out what I do. And then about a half hour later, after this conversation, another guy walked in the room, and I just said, "Hey, buddy," and he looked at me and was like, and I said, "Oh, your buddy's good to tell you I can see you." And he turned around and they started talking, and then he looked back at me, and then he just backed out of the fucking picture. Didn't want to be
Oh,
seen. Yeah, it freaked him out that I can see them.
do
And then
you?
one of those guys I actually now remote view through, and it was the second guy who walked into the room. Now I'm connected to him. So sometimes I will see him, like I'm him, so I'm looking through his eyes, and a lot of times he's home watching TV. Um, I seen him at the movies. I saw him at the I saw him like a week ago. He was at a baseball game, watching a baseball game. When he's home watching TV, he watches cartoons like South Park and Beavis and Butthead. Uh, but I saw him at work one time, and the work one disturbed me because they were in a room. Or at one time, they were sitting in a room and they were watching like videos, like training videos. But another time, he was walking down a hallway. He stopped at a door, and then there was like a glass window and the door, and people were standing there. And he looked into the window, and there were aliens, and
Oh wow.
yeah, and they were just and these things were trying to get out. They were trying to get their attention, try to get out of that room, and they're
Do you
just
ever?
being held.
Sorry. Do you ever try to like link in this realm with them? Like try to get like contact information or through your
Oh,
remote?
like aliens?
No, not the aliens. The people you're linking with when
No,
you
no,
remote.
I don't want anything to do with those people.
No.
No, because they're watching me. They're watching me for a reason of trying to figure out what I'm doing and how I do it so they can use it in a nefarious way. I don't want anything to do with them.
No thanks.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 Once you figure it out, you figure it out that I've figured out that they are watching me all the time. I have no privacy. but no one actually has any privacy anyway because spirit is around us 24/7. So they don't like some of these fake mediums will tell you, oh, they take bathroom breaks. They don't want to bother you. No, they don't. That's so they're so full of shit. They don't. Yeah, I mean, everyone. A lot of these fake mediums walk around thinking everything is rainbows and unicorns and everything is love and light. It's not. Life is not meant to be easy. If it was meant to be easy, what would be the point of being here in the first place? If you were given everything in your lifetime, you wouldn't appreciate the things you do have. So we are here to learn lessons and stuff, but you have a lot of these fake mediums telling you, oh, you can raise your vibrations. And, if you have a bunch of crystals in your house, no, you live on a world that's completely covered and surrounded, and underneath you is crystals all day long. How come they haven't raised their vibrations already?
Mm.
Because they don't. It doesn't. You're not actually raising the vibration of your soul. What you're doing is clearing your life out of all the garbage. The pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, all that stuff. No, in order for me to get messages, I have to be clear to get messages. So I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, no tattoos, nothing, no CBD, nothing. So I can get clear messages. But I also let go of all the pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, and all that stuff in my life. I don't. But I also let go of all the horrible people as well. I mean, the only reason you have horrible people in your life is because you allow them to be there. Stop allowing it. And that's what I did. But but yeah, I mean, you get when you start figuring this stuff out after, and then, but I also have spiritual guides telling me stuff all the time too. So, and I see them all the time with me. I see these like right now. I see these little sparkles that are going right around me all the time, and that's them in the daytime. In the nighttime, I see their true forms. When I see archangels around me, I see 8-foot praying mantises.
8 foot
I see
primary.
8-foot yeah, I see 8-foot praying mantis. I see some that look like mammals, some look like I've seen a couple that are human, some look humanoid, some of them I can't even describe because they're not from here. They're not from anywhere around here. So, some of them I just can't describe because there's nothing to equate it to.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just and you get used to it. But I know what they do, what they are, what they do for me, what they do for everyone else. It doesn't scare me. Um, to see an 8-foot praying mantis standing in front of me. And they're touching my face. And then recently, about a year ago, I asked them, I said, I know the process of you touching my face, and I got different touches. And some of them will touch me 4 or 5 of them at the same time. So, and I know the names of all of them that are touching me. I mean, how many archangels do I have with me? All of them. But can I pronounce all their names? No, but I'll get a new touch and then they'll tell me the name. And so I'll write it down. So I have a list of 102 different names now. And, but when they touch me, I'll feel like 3 or 4 touches. And that's when I said, how are you doing that? How can you show me what's taking place? So I closed, they said, close your eyes. And so I closed my eyes. When I did, I saw a 8-foot praying mantis up against my back. And then when they're touching me, his tentacle would come around and wipe me across my face. And it feels like blood going across your face. And they keep calling it tears of blood. It has to do with Jesus. And but when another one wants to touch me, they just go right through each other and more through each other and just touch me on the face. But I mean, because they're in spirit, 4 or 5 of them will touch me at the same time. So, but I just wanted to see what it looked like. If you saw what it looked like a body snatcher movie. You don't want that. I mean, nobody wants that, but I have to have it in order to get all the answers I do, and I have to have all the experiences I do to get answers for people but I mean, people do ask me about the ghost stories and stuff like that, and I have a lot of them because I have a ghost story every freaking day. But my true reason I'm here to do what I do is to teach people why we're here and what is our purpose and to move forward in life and helping other people to become the best version of ourselves while we're doing that, helping ourselves at the same time. And then we're all on the same playing level, playing the same level field. But because we all go home, I mean, if you'll go home if you choose to, but not everybody does. But if you're here now, you've been to heaven already, and you had to come back. So what does that mean? We can all go home to the same place. We all have to come back because you have to fulfill your purpose. That means we all come here the same way. That means we're all equal. We're all equal, but we're just not getting that figured out because we have classes of people. We have people who want us to believe that they are better than us when they all take a shit like we do. They eat breakfast like we do, but they want us to think that they're better than us. They all die too. Everyone dies. I mean, there's 2 rules in this world. As long as you follow the rules and comprehend the rules, you'll love your life and everyone else's life around you more. Rule number 1 is people die every day. Rule number 2 is you can't change rule number 1. When is your time to go? It just is. We just can't seem to get that figured out. We can't get it figured out because we always have people telling us that they are better than us or they control us and they rule us. The people who want to tell you to live your life the way they want you to live it while giving them 10%.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Stop
Oh, it's
listening to
very
them.
powerful.
They want you to think that you're a sinner. No, you're not. If you're living under their rules, then you are. I don't live under their rules. Pretty simple.
That's an amazing thing because, like, I always think about those moments where I feel scared or watched. I've always been told to, um, one is tell them they're not invited there, and two is that
Correct.
they'll.
You can do that. Yeah. So when negative energies are around, you can just tell them, I don't want you around here. People don't even know that if you tell them to go away, they have to go away. But what they do is the spirit will scare the crap out of them, make them feel in fear, and then that spirit will stay with them so they can draw energy off them. But I tell people don't go to the haunted houses or go to on all these haunted walks because you're going in there with I want to be scared, and then when you get scared, you don't know what the hell to do at that point,
Mm.
and you're inviting these negative energies to be around you. I just did a reading with a lady a month ago. She worked with a Ouija board. And she said, I did. It finally worked after 6 times. I said, no, it didn't. It worked the first time. I said, because people using a Ouija board don't know what they're doing. You're opening up, you're inviting negative energies to come through. That's what it's for. You think you're inviting one person through, but you don't know who the hell is standing behind you. They walk in and then they attach themselves to you. And she said, yeah, I have attachment. I said, no, you have 3 attachments.
Oh,
And she had to quit her job. She's getting sick all the time. When we were doing the interview, doing the reading, she had to sit there with a bucket next to her because she's throwing up the entire time right before because those spirit knew that she was coming to talk to me because they don't like me.
no! Wow,
Yeah, because they don't like me.
I don't like
They
you.
don't want me talking to her, trying to help her. They know who I am. They know what that light is.
Especially if they see that powerful, like, white energy you're saying that.
They see me. They all see me. And they know when I'm talking to her. So, and I said, I'm sorry, but because she thought I was going to be able to just take that away from her. Again, spiritually gullible. They don't know what they're doing. She had contacted me. I think I was like the 8th or ninth one. She spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars trying to get a hold of different mediums and different healers and stuff who would take this away from her. I said, no one can take that away from you. You just have to be the best person you can be, most positive person, no matter how much they try to bother you to get them away from you. She's doing it now, but she didn't start doing it until I had this conversation with her. But yeah, I mean, but they don't realize. As I told her, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You play with that Ouija board, that's what you're going to get. If you do stupid shit in this world, especially spiritually, this is what you're going to get. This is exactly what's going to happen, and no one can take it away from you because you're the one that caused it.
That's
But
right.
they don't get it.
The monkey paw, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they just don't get. But so I do my best to try to educate people so they won't mess with these things, and then I try to get them on a spiritual path so they can go home and stay home and not have to come back and do this all over again. Because you don't want to come back the next time. Because I mean, especially now, even after I pass away, 80 years from now, this place isn't going to be nice. This place is going to be horrible.
It sounds like, though, your life right now is just built with powerful meaning,
Yeah,
especially with what you do.
yeah, yeah. But
That's
still,
amazing.
ghost stories every day, Robert.
Yeah, no
Ghost stories
kidding.
every freaking day, every day. I'm there's not a moment in my day that I don't see, hear, feel, smell, or taste. You don't want to taste, or communicate all day, every day.
The
Just
whole
the whole
senses.
day, whole night, everything. I go to sleep. I have to take some a sleep aid just to go to sleep because if I don't, they talk to me all night because they're not talking to me all night. There's no all night or day for them. It's just time continues. So they're just there. They just are where they are, and they just go all the time. They don't take naps or anything. They're just hanging out and talking to each other. And sometimes they're either talking to me or they talk around me. But no matter what, I still hear. It's like standing in the mall in the middle of a crowd of 1,000 people, and everyone's talking around you, and you hear every bit of it, and it doesn't turn off.
Wow. That's
So
got
it
to
is
be
weird.
intense.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's there's some trying moments. And sometimes I have to I have to navigate through my life.
Yeah, especially if that's your norm, right?
Yeah, that's my norm, man. Yeah, that's my norm, and I don't enjoy. I don't always. I mean, sometimes I do see some very cool things. I see into other. I remote view. I see into other realms. I had dimensional beings come and visit me sometimes. Um, I woke up one time. So in my bedroom, I keep it completely blacked out. And when I woke up in the morning, it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. My whole room was completely lit up. So when it was lit up like that, I knew something else was there. So I start looking around the room, and I'm looking around, and then I look down on the bed, and when I see on the bed, I saw this round orange thing. It looked like cat hair, like fuzzy, and it had two little blue eyes and no nose and a little tiny mouth, and it was just looking around my room, and then it looked locked eyes with me. Um, and then I said, hello. And it just looked at me and blinked its eyes at me. I said, I'm not going to touch you. I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to bother you. You do whatever you want here, and then whatever you want. And so it stayed there for about 10 minutes, and then it faded away and gone.
So,
Yeah, I don't touch them because I don't know where they come from. I don't know what their physiology is. And because I don't want their physiology to mess with mine. I had a girl contact me. I'm going to do a show about her called "I Did a Whoopsie," because she thought she was astral projecting, but she didn't really know how to do it. And what actually ended up happening is she went into the low energy realm, and she felt like she was like in a hole, and she was trying to claw her way out. Whole entire time, and she finally got out. And then she came out of that. So she thought she was projecting, but she just went into the lower energy realm. And what happened is her soul being there, because it's your soul that goes there, got negative energy from being there, and now she's actually physically sick, and
wow.
the doctors can't figure out what's going on with her. And I told her what was. She said, "Yeah, now I understand what you're saying." So yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can not fix, mess with our
yeah,
body.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So and she, but then I had another guy whose podcast I was on. Oh, it's 1111 angel numbers. So um, a guy said he went to this famous place to see ghosts, and he called out to the ghost, and another voice came through and said, he's no longer here."
No longer here.
Yeah, but then after that, the voice came through, and the voice started like talking to him in a growling type of way. So it was a negative energy, and it scared the shit out of him.
I bet. Like
I
that's
said,
a
"Yeah, don't do it again."
that's a
He's all about meditation and stuff like that, and I said, "Yeah, don't ever do that again. You don't know what the fuck you're fucking with. I mean, these things, not every that you think just one spirit is there, but there's a gazillion spirit everywhere. And if one of them wants to talk to you, they will. And if they can scare the crap out of you, they will. So they can collect this negative energy from you."
Yeah, oh man. It just like talking to you has really like changed my perspective and seeing all this stuff, you know? It's been awesome talking to you, Daniel.
Yeah, who else you got to interview next? They got to have anything more than me?
I don't know.
Probably not, Robert. Yeah, yeah, 'cause,
Probably not.
yeah. I mean, I just see, yeah, I just see so much all the time. It's just, I just see strange things. Like I had a woman standing in front of me one time, and then I saw another girl standing next to her, and the woman just said to me, she said, "My life here is like living a prison sentence." And I was like, "Huh?" And then the other girl next to her was laughing, and I was like, "Oh," so I knew they were both in the low energy realm, and the other girl thought that because this woman said she was living a prison sentence, the other girl was laughing at her because she found it funny. I had one spirit come up to me one time and said, "I don't like the blacks." I was like, "Okay, yeah, yeah." They just say strange things all the time. But they talk about what we talk about because some of them are still living the same lives. I have some come up and say, and they ask me, "Am I dead?" I say, "Yeah, you are. You want to cross over?" "No, I'm okay." "All right."
Wow.
Yeah, some of
Yeah,
them.
sounds about right.
Yeah.
especially just dealing with people, right? Like people
Yeah.
say the weirdest things.
Yes. Yeah. You're still dealing with the same people, except some of them look alike and some of them don't because they don't are not people. Like when they show me in heaven, I saw one time that I saw a bunch of people riding something that so because there's something physical going on there. It's just different. I saw people riding something that looks like a Ferris wheel. It's not shaped like a Ferris wheel, but it was a thing that was going around and people were on it. Um, I saw some guys getting into something and driving away. It looked like almost like a car, except the back end kind of came down real small, and there was this little tiny wheel at the bottom of it. Yeah, it's just I saw some people one time. I saw a woman walking down I was like I was looking through a window, like I wasn't supposed to be there, but they were showing it to me. I was looking through a window and I saw a woman walking down a sidewalk, and she was with a little boy, and he had like a little boy, like a little pantsuit on, and she had like an Elizabethan type dress on and a big hat on, and they were walking down a sidewalk that never ended. So 4 nights ago, I was in my bedroom and I saw a bunch of people sitting there. Looked like they were on bleachers, but I didn't see any bleachers up on like a hill, and there was a couple thousand of them, and they all had on like Elizabethan, like that type of clothing from back then. And then they walked down off. They all got off and walked down off of that thing. And then I was like talking to my guys, and I said, "Oh, look at that! They're coming." And I said, "They're coming forward." And I said, "Where are they going?" And then all of a sudden they started getting close to me. I said, "Whoa!" I said, "Oh, they're getting really close to me." And they said, "Yeah." But I was looking into heaven, and then they didn't just get close to me. They all walked into my room. So I was sitting there in bed, and they're walking past me, and I see wisps and stuff like that going in front of my face, and they're all just walking around my room, and I'm like, "What the heck is what's going?" And then I said, "Hey, you guys gotta turn this off. I gotta get to sleep. I gotta get up early in the morning." And then they just turned it all off, and they were all gone, and then I was able to go to sleep. But yeah, I mean, strange instances all the time. And
I really
yeah.
appreciate you taking this hour to talk to me and sharing all your
Oh, you're
experiences.
welcome, man. You're welcome.
It's been phenomenal. And being an hour, I'm gonna have to go here. Is there anything you'd
Okay.
like to plug in before we head off?
Sure. If people are looking for me, I have a book. I have a book called Daniel Jackson, The New Beginning: My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. I can find it on Amazon. It's my story of how I became a medium, and I can find it on Amazon. It's only $10. I also have a podcast on a streaming spiritual network. The network is called newrealitytv.com. And you can actually go watch my show for free right now. It's streaming for free because it's getting ready to go on like Roku and Fire TV. And the name of my show is called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, where I talk about all this stuff. But I do interviews like we're doing here, and I talk to a lot of people, a lot of authors and stuff like that who are in this space, and they always give me their sheet, with all these questions to ask, and I just look at it and go, whatever. And then I just because I know what to ask because I'm in the same space. And but yeah, it's called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, me, and I talk about metaphysical and supernatural. Um, they can find me on Instagram at spirit.medium.daniel. They can go on Facebook, and I have a group on there called the Spirit Medium Daniel Group. If they want to get a reading with me, they can go to my website and look me up. It's spiritmediumdaniel.com, and I do readings there. They can also purchase my book from there. They can purchase merchandise from my show there. So you can get a T-shirt that says, "I'm not an extra large, I'm a medium." So, yeah, I got jokes. Yeah, you can pretty much find me out, or you can, even if they want to find information out about me, they can just go on Google, or they can go in their favorite AI and just ask about spirit medium Daniel Jackson. Make sure you put in Jackson, and then it'll tell you all about me. So I'm pretty much everywhere. They can find me anywhere, and especially if they want to, they can get two types of readings with me too on my site. They can just get a regular reading with me, or if they just want to sit and talk about spirit for 2 hours, I'll do it because all my readings that I do there are 2 hours. Now it's $150, but for 2 hours, I mean, they can get a ton of information. And then my wife and I record it, and then we send it back to them so they have something to listen to. But yeah, I'm just trying to do my best to get people to understand why we're here and what is our purpose, and I do that through my show on New Reality TV, and then I just do it everywhere else. I'm on TikTok doing it, and but they can pretty much find me anywhere. All they have to do is look for Spirit Medium Daniel Jackson. They'll find me.
Awesome. I know I'll be going down a deep dive of this stuff.
Awesome.
uh, Once again, I want to say thank you again for joining me, and I hope you have a good day.
You too, man. And as I always tell everybody, be good and try not to do any stupid shit. All right.